Alright, so this is will be part 2 of sharing the process of making my mask ready for print. So I've got both of my mask subtools, the final subtools, all visible, and the next thing we want to do is scale the entire project to the correct world scale or the final product scale. And for this, I will be using the bounding box that we provided earlier, and the dimensions will be basically the height will be 10 centimeters, and I think the height, oh sorry, the width will be 10 centimeters. So what I'm going to do is basically tell ZBrush to scale everything based on this measurement, and you want to go into Z plugin. So save your project beforehand, and also just make sure you are in the highest subdivision level if you are using sub Ds. If you use Scale Master on the lowest subdivision level, sometimes the details don't transfer over, so just make sure you're on the highest subdivision level, or delete your sub Ds and decimate your model. But yeah, so first thing we want to do is make sure we have the bounding box selected, and then we want to go to Z plugin, set scene scale, and we're just going to pick an arbitrary scale in millimeters. So for ZBrush and 3D printing, I found working in millimeters scale is the easiest and safest way. Seems to translate better across the other programs. So yeah, just choose millimeters, and we are going to, once that's done, go back into Scale Master, and you'll see that the Y and the X and the Z are all set up here. So what we want to do is change the X to 100. Oh sorry, change the X to 100. And what that should do, if you have this little R ratio ticked, that should also change everything else. And actually, sorry, it's the Y that's the 100. Okay, so set the Y to 100, and then make sure that the All button is ticked, and what that will do is resize all your subtools based on this ratio, and you click on resize subtool. And you'll see that it's basically resized all your visible subtools to that ratio that you set within that cube. So now if we do a test, I'm going to just export this cube out as an STL. And we'll just import it into Mesh Mixer, and just QC the cube just to make sure the measurements are all good. I'm going to export it out as STL. And we'll just go selected. So it's just exporting that box. I'm just going to bring up Mesh Mixer, and I'm going to import in that cube, and so we can see just double check to make sure that the size is correct. Bear with me, I'm just scrubbing through my folders here. Where are we on? Hell mask. Okay. Okay, and then to check the size, just go to edit and then transform, and So the size is 99.99 millimeters, so that is correct. So that is 10 centimeters height. Okay, so that's all good. So now, when we go back to ZBrush and save this project, okay, so now when we save and reload this ZBrush project, everything's going to be in the correct size, and when we start doing the booleans and exporting and importing stuff, everything's going to be in the correct scale. So the next thing we're going to be doing is doing the booleans, and I've got both of my models here. I'm just going to hide A model and just work on this B model for now. So as I showed you previously before, it's currently two subtools. So I've got this back piece and the front piece, and then I've got this cube here, which is a subtraction. And if I turn on, I've set the Boolean operation here, live Boolean, to subtract. And then if I turn on live Boolean, okay, so this is what we want to do now, is to do bake that Boolean operation in. So go to make Boolean mesh, and what that's going to do is it's going to combine these two subtools and then subtract this cube from that subtool. Now you see this cube, I've actually subdivided the cube without smoothing turned on a few times, just so when we do the Boolean subtraction, we've got enough polygons here that it's not going to whack out when we do the Boolean subtraction. And you'll see in a moment what I mean by that. So I'm going to turn on live Boolean, and I'm going to press make Boolean mesh. So it's going to go and do its thing, and hopefully you don't get any errors. If you do, you may need to just double check your mesh to make sure there's no open holes or anything like that. So you should run the close holes on the meshes, on the subtools before doing this. And yeah, just you know, give it a quick QC. Okay, cool. So I did not get an error for that, and it should have created a new tool here called UMesh. If we look at the UMesh, you'll see that the density of the polygons on that cube that I used for the subtraction is the back face is basically the same amount there. So the default bounding box that I sent you guys didn't have this amount of subdivisions on there, so you might want to do that. Otherwise, it's just going to be a big square, big polygons on the back, which you know I found not to be great. But at the end of the day, we will be decimating this anyway. But yeah, what I like to do is just make sure there's enough, at least some polygons in the back here, so it doesn't wig out. Okay, and I'm going to quick save this. And the next step of the process will be to clean up this Boolean mesh and check for any errors. So we'll do another video for that.